Hello, today we're going to be working on the Turtle Race project in the Raspberry Pi projects collection. In this project, we'll scroll down and show you, we're going to be creating this game where turtles are racing across a racetrack. We're also going to add a scorekeeping element to our program, and we're going to be creating this in Python 3. So we're going to start I'm going to be using Trinket to do our programming, and I'm going to start by titling my project. So we'll go Turtle Race and clicking save. If I don't save this project manually at the start, then my work is not going to automatically save in Trinket. So the first thing that we need to do, we're going to be using the turtle class in Python, which allows us to do some drawing on our screen. So we're going to start by importing from turtle import, and we're going to import all of the methods that are available to us in the turtle class, and that's why we use that star there to say we just want to import everything. That allows us to use all of that code that's already been created for us to use in our own programs. So we're going to type from turtle import and then a star, and then I'll go ahead and click the enter or return key to go to the next line. Now we're going to import just a couple more things that we need to use in this program. So the next thing we're going to do is from the random module in Python, we want to import the randint method. So we're going to say from random. So that's a module, or if you think like a collection of coding methods or functions that have already been created for us and just allow us to do things a little bit more succinctly in our own programs. So we're going to say from that random module import, and it's called randint. So short for random integer. That's going to let us tell the computer to pick a random number from a set of numbers. And then on the next line, one more import, we're going to say from time. So from the time module, we want to import the sleep function. And that is the function that we use to tell the computer either where to pause before going on to the next set of instructions, or how long it's going to be doing a set of instructions before moving on to the next set. So those are the three imports that we need at the beginning of this program. Now, the next thing that we're going to do is we're going to start drawing our racetrack. So if you think about using turtle graphics in a way similar to how you would be drawing on paper, we actually have to tell the computer step by step when to get the pen, where to put the pen on paper, what color to draw in, and all of these different things. So the first thing we're actually going to do is we're going to tell the computer that we want to start with our pen up off the paper. We don't want it to just drag the pen to different spots and create lines all over the place. We want to start with our pen up, move it to the spot we want to put it on screen, then put the pen down, and then start drawing. So the first thing we're going to type is pen. Oops, I have to click back here. Pen up. And now we're going to tell it where on the screen to place the pen. So we're going to say go to. Now, the reason we can use these instructions, these were already created for us by somebody else, and they were put into this turtle class that we said we were importing earlier, so that we just have these really nice, simple and short little methods that we can use to tell our pen to do something. Someone already set all this up for us so that we just have to use this method that was already created. So go to is a method that somebody created and put in the turtle class for us to use. And part of that method means we have to tell it where on screen to go. And when we're telling the computer where on screen to go do something, we need to use X and Y coordinates, just like we do when we're graphing in math class. So the X coordinate, we're going to kind of put our pen sort of up here near kind of like the top left of the screen. So if you imagine an invisible coordinate grid here with 0, 0 always being the center of our grid, 0, 0 kind of the center of your screen, we're going to go kind of up here. So a negative X and a positive Y. And we're going to go ahead and use negative 140 and positive 140. And that should place our pen kind of somewhere up here. All right. And now let's do a little test and make sure that we see something up in that area of the screen. So now we're going to say, great, put the pen down. And then we're going to say, now move the pen forward a certain number of steps, and then we should see a line draw. So let's just run a test here. Forward, and let's just say 100 steps. It's not going to be as far as it sounds. And let's run that test. Okay, great. So we can see that we're sending our pen up to this corner, and if it draws a line at 100 steps, then you see that line on screen. All right, I'm actually going to click above that pen down line because we're going to put some other things above that, and then we're going to tell the computer to put the pen down. Okay, so here above that pen down and that forward move, we're going to set up a loop. So what we're going to do is we want on our screen, we want the computer to label each step on the racetrack with a number. And the way that we can do that is by using the write method from the Turtle class. And we want it to repeat that. So what it would do if we have it write a number, it's going to start with the number 0. So the first number that's going to show up is a 0. And we want it to repeatedly label, kind of like we're creating a number line. So we want it to count up and label those steps up. So it would start with a 0, and then it would write a 1, and then a 2. And we're going to go ahead and label it up to the number 5. So if we think about how many times it has to label to do that, including 0, we'd have 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So we're actually going to have it repeat that labeling 6 times. So we're going to say for step in range 6. Okay. And this is a repeat loop. So I'm going to leave a note here. And with a hashtag, I can write myself a note in my program, and the computer won't read it as an instruction. It will just ignore it. I'll say this is a repeat loop, so that as you guys are writing your program, you remember what this is at this line here. So for step in range 6, and this just means whatever I put underneath this, you're going to do 6 times. If I wanted to change that and have it make a longer number line, I can change the number that's inside the parentheses. But for now, I'm just going to have it label from 0 up to the number 5. So for step in range 6, we're going to say write. So there is a function, or excuse me, a method you can use that's called write. I'm going to say write the step and then move forward 20 steps. Okay. Now let's test that. I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to delete these out for now. We'll make some other changes in just a minute, but let's just test this real quick and make sure that it's making our number line for us. All right, there we go. So you can see, since I deleted that pen down, it's no longer drawing a line. It's just writing out the steps every 20, or it's just numbering every time I move 20 steps, it's stopping and placing a number. Another 20 steps, place a number. If I wanted it to keep that number line, then I want to make sure to say, oops, let's do undo. I'll put my cursor here and hit return. Then if I put my pen down, let's try it again. Now it should draw that number line, right? But so you can, I'm going to go ahead and get rid of that there. I don't want pen down yet. I'm just going to have it. Let's run it again. Put those numbers on screen. Okay, so far so good. So now what we're going to do next is we're going to have it draw some lines going straight down from those numbers to show our racetrack. Okay, so I also went ahead and I left a note up here just to remind us that this is an XY coordinate on our screen. But we're going to come down here. So on this line that says write step, I'm going to check my notes. The next thing we're going to do is once it gets to after it writes the number on screen, what we want to have our turtle do, we call this little cursor our turtle, is turn. So it's now facing downward, and then draw a line, and then go to the next one and do the same thing. So what we can do is now we're going to give it some angle measurements to tell it how to turn. All right. So if I'm facing this direction and I want to turn right, I'm going to tell it to turn 90 degrees and then draw a line. So we'll say right, okay? So because right now we're facing this direction, we want it to turn right. So it will be facing this direction, 90 degrees, and then move forward 10 steps. Okay. Then we'll tell it to put the pen down. So now that it's facing the direction I want and it's moved just slightly away from the number, now put the pen on paper and draw a line. So pen down, forward, and we're going to make these lines, 150 steps long, and then pick the pen back up off the paper after it draws the line before it goes up to the next number and draws another line. So pen up, and then now turn left, okay, 90 degrees. So it's no longer facing down on our screen. It was facing down. We're going to have it go left and face this way again. And then go that forward 20. And let's run that. And it's going to repeat 6 times. So it should make a line at each number. Let's run that. Oh, typo. All right. So if you get a red highlight here, that means there's an error. You can look at the bottom for clues. It says name forward is not defined. Oh, because I have a typo. Forward is not a word. I'm going to add an R in there and let's run it again. There we go. Oh, I have another error. So let's pause that and let's check our code and see where our error is. All right, so I forgot, after we picked the pen up off the paper, we've drawn a line, we picked the pen up, I missed a line. I forgot to tell it to go back up to the top of the screen, and we're going to use a backward method to do that. And backward 160. And the reason it's 160, we just go back and do the math, right? So we drew a line down 150 steps, but before we drew that line, we also had taken 10 steps down. So we took 10 steps, then another 150. So 10 plus 150 is 160. Now we want to backtrack that 160. That's where that comes from. Then we're turning left. So now we're facing this way again. We're going to move over and then draw another line. Now let's test it again. All right, there we go. And you can see it take that backward step up, move over, back up, move over. All right, repeat, repeat, repeat. Good. Now let's make our racetrack look nice and neat. We can actually center those lines. So in our right step, we're going to say comma, and we're going to tell it we're going to tell our turtle, our cursor again, where to align before it draws. So the way you do that is you say inside these parentheses, comma, align equals, and then in a single quotation mark, center, close. Oops, it automatically put that in for me. Let's try one more time. Nice. Now it's a little bit slow. We don't want to sit and wait for our lines to draw. We can actually change the speed. So I'm going to go, let's say here underneath our go to, I'm going to make some space here. And we're going to tell the turtle what speed to draw at. We're going to say speed of 0. I'm going to stop that. I messed that up. Go back in parentheses. Oh, I messed it up again. We're going to pause it and let me go back and look at where my mistake is. Okay, we're going to get rid of this equal sign. There we go. Now let's try again. There we go. Much better. So now we can set up our turtles for our race.